An 18-year-old has quite a lot of challenges to deal with. How do I know? Because I am one myself, and it is safe to say that in Turkey, an 18-year-old's biggest challenge is the university exam. Well, the exam is much more basic than the stress that the kids have. It's multiple choice, and all you have to do is fill out those little boxes to determine the rest of your life. Very easy, right? The exam is seen as the final determinant of the kid's life. Students think that if they will successfully finish the test, then the bright future will automatically follow. As students, we fear that the exam is what determines if you're smart or not, successful or not, and overall if you're going to be happy in life or not. Well, someone who does not know the Turkish education system may wonder, are these students are valid about their concerns? And unfortunately, the answer is yes. First of all, there is no other way to get into a university, so if you want to apply to one, then the exam is a must. Second of all, thanks to the system, no one cares about our hobbies, our extracurricular activities, the sports that we do, only those little boxes that we fill. So is exam stress a valid concern in our lives? Yes it is. According to the experts, the main reason behind exam stress is constant pressure and competition from peer group, family, and the individual themselves. When students are unable to meet the expectations to be the best, with the help of the lower self-confidence they have in them, they are most likely to develop depression and other health problems, which is not always cared about due to the fact that everyone thinks that it's super normal to have these problems in the exam year. When these signs can be the triggering factors or symptoms of a very serious mental or physical illness. In the last OECD report on student well-being showed that Turkish students were one of the unhappiest in the world. Turkish students excelled in both high anxiety and low expectations. And I'm sure it will come as no surprise to you all when I say that most students blamed educational pressure for this unhappiness. Well, when I say this isn't even the worst part yet, you might get surprised then. Student selection and placement exams started in 1974 in Turkey and still is continuing to this day in 2020. Well, with a different name of course, so that the politicians can say that they have been making enormous changes in this education system. And all we hear is that we cannot fight against the system, so we have to suck it up and start preparing for the exam. This is what we hear this year, this is what my parents heard 30 years ago, and that is probably what my grandparents heard 50 years ago. Now, as a 12th grader, not only hearing this, but actually living in it, I wanted to share my story with you. At the beginning of the year, I was just like everyone else, starting to prepare for the exam, stressed, depressed, like I said, a normal 12th grader. But then I had the opportunity to start applying for colleges in abroad, and that's when I realized that I didn't need this all this stress in my life just for a 2-hour exam. Well, the universities in abroad didn't care about my exam results. They cared about why I want to study in the university, why I was choosing the bachelor that I choose, and if I was sure about it. It felt like talking to a therapist after a really consuming couple of months trying to fit into Turkish education system. Of course I had to take an exam or two along the way, but they didn't make me terrified because I just knew I had to take them to show my qualifications. And I'm not going to stand here and say that it wasn't stressful at all, because moving to another chapter in your life is always stressful. But it wasn't that kind of stress where I want to constantly bang my head to the walls and throw myself out of very tall buildings. Now, in 2020, I cannot suggest the idea that university exams should be removed from existence in Turkey. But I can suggest the idea that we can use the exam as a side tool amongst other things such as CVs, recommendation letters, and motivation letters, and etc. So that students can have a choice, and the university exam won't be the only choice that they have, but a side tool to make their application stronger. Now, if you don't know who this is Cedric. He was a cartoon character that I used to watch growing up every day. He was 8 years old and super in love with this girl. When he lay down in bed every night, he used to think about his day and say that if you're 8 years old and in love, life is pretty hard. Now, I was going to quote Cedric at the end of my talk and say that if you're 18 years old and preparing for the university exam, life is pretty hard. But I changed my mind. It doesn't have to be. We can grow up, educate ourselves, and fight against this system that we despise so much, so that our kids and their kids and their kids won't ever hear the same sentence ever again. Thank you.